What's up guys? Today I'm going to talk to you about fasting. In this video I'm going to basically summarize my thoughts on it, my experiences with it, who will benefit from it, who wouldn't benefit for it, and just generally the types of fasts that you can do. Now, fasting, the definition of fasting is to purposefully abstain from food or drink for an extended period of time. Most people do a fast from food. They don't really do the dry fast because that's a little bit more extreme, apart from people who do Ramadan and stuff like that. So why do people do it? There's usually three reasons. One reason is for the health benefits. The second reason is for the improvements you can bring about in terms of body composition, i.e. fat loss. And the third one is usually down to religious reasons. Now, there's a lot of stigma associated with the topic. There's a lot of people saying, it's really bad for you, it causes damage. There's other people who swear by it and say it's the best thing they've ever done and the health benefits are endless. So, should you fast or should you not fast? That is the question. Now, I was really introduced to the topic of intermittent fasting by a guy called Martin Berkham. Now I used to spend endless hours reading every single blog post, even more than once on many occasions, just to try and get my head around the whole intermittent fasting concept. And this is when I had just become a qualified personal trainer as well, so I was out there searching for knowledge to help me perfect my craft as much as possible. Now his framework for doing it was to spend 16 hours in a fasted state and then break that fast and then to have an 8-hour feeding window. So let's say, for example, I would have my last meal around 9 o'clock in the evening. So there it is. You would then go 16 hours without eating any food. So do 12 hours, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16-hour mark would be the next day at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, which would be the point when you break the fast, which would then give you an 8-hour feeding window from 1 p.m. all the way to 9 p.m. again, before you would then begin with the fast. Now the problem is, if you want to go out there and do more reading about intermittent fasting, you're going to find a lot of dodgy information. And that's because you cannot make money from fasting or intermittent fasting. You're basically telling people not to eat. So all these big corporations, the big food industries, they're obviously not going to have anything positive to say about intermittent fasting, because they would basically be telling people, hey, by the way, you don't need to eat our products. You're probably actually going to be healthier if you don't have a big bowl of cereal in the morning, so don't buy from us, okay? They're not going to do that, so obviously they're going to come up with some kind of reasoning as to why intermittent fasting is going to be dangerous for you or harmful. Now the big question is, should you be fasting? Are you the type of person that would benefit from fasting, or is it going to be counterproductive? Now the answer to this really does come down to the individual, okay? It comes down to their current body composition. It comes down to what their actual goals are, when they can train, and how they kind of fit it around their lifestyle. Now, someone who could benefit from it would be your average Joe who's just looking to lean down, lose a bit of body fat and look toned, to have a good athletic looking physique. Another individual who would benefit from fasting would be someone who is, around 15-18% body fat or higher and is looking to, really shift that body fat and get rid of it. It would also be beneficial for someone who isn't really that much of an eater in the morning, okay? I'm that type of person. I don't have much of an appetite first thing in the morning, but I do have a ravenous one in the evening, so I find it quite easy to go throughout the morning with a minimal food or no food, and then to consume the majority of my calories, in the afternoon and in the evening. And then there are people who will not benefit from doing intermittent fasting. Number one would be the type of person who is already very lean. They almost have no body fat, and they're the type of person who struggles to put on size. So for going extended period of time without any food, it's not going to be the best approach for them. It's also not going to be beneficial for someone who is absolutely looking to maximize their true potential when it comes to putting on muscle, okay? For those people, you probably want to be in a situation whereby you have a steady flow of amino acids coming through your body and in your bloodstream to help promote protein synthesis almost throughout the entire day. So if you're going an extended period of time without any food whatsoever, it's probably not going to be the best approach for you. It's probably not going to be beneficial for someone who works out first thing in the morning whose goal is to add size, okay? You're going to find that your strength and performance within the gym is probably going to be capped and not as good compared to if you had been training in a fed state, which is therefore going to limit how much muscle you can put on. It might not be beneficial for someone who has a very demanding job or has a very active lifestyle, whereby they're going a large chunk of the day without eating anything, okay, it might impact their work or performance. So even if they're just a performance-based athlete looking to perform at their very best, you're going to need to have some food in the system in order to maximize your results. And it's the same with your work. If you're very busy, you're doing a lot in the morning, it's very demanding physically, then you doing it on an empty stomach might affect how well you perform your job, so it might not be the best approach for you. Now I'm going to tell you a bit about my experience with intermittent fasting. It's something I did quite a bit of in the past, and it's something I'll do now from time to time. When I was doing it in the past, I think I was around 23, I did it solidly for months on end, doing the 16-8 approach. And I found that I did get very lean. And it was a very easy way to get lean because, like I said before, I don't really like to eat much in the morning. I find like my appetite is much higher in the afternoon and evening. So it was a steady way for me to get very lean. I also managed to maintain quite a bit of muscle mass as well. Okay, just because you go extended periods of time without eating doesn't mean you're just going to wither away. Okay, your body doesn't work like that. It's not designed to disintegrate all your existing muscle mass when you go for an extended period of time without any food.
If you believe that, then you'd have to believe that Mother Nature designed our bodies to store food energy as fat and sugar, but when we actually need it, to burn protein, right? It's like, okay, well, that sounds pretty dumb, right? No system would work very well if it was designed that way.
But I would say that I was limited with how big I could get in terms of muscle mass. I do feel like I was kind of capped and I reached a plateau. And in order for me to get bigger and to put on additional muscle tissue, I did have to consume more calories in the morning. Now, there's a few observations which I made when I started doing intermittent fasting, which I think is probably worth highlighting to some of you guys. I noticed that it took a bit of time to adapt to. Now, I was the type of person to pretty much wake up every morning and have something to eat. It'd usually be a bowl of cereal. So when I tried the whole fasting approach and not eating until like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, it was weird. It felt weird not eating. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna die, I'm starving. But after a few days, you kind of get used to it. And it actually turned out to be quite beneficial. I did notice that I was having very productive mornings. By not eating, just having water, maybe a bit of coffee, I found I was very productive and I was full of energy and I was alert mentally. And it allowed me to have very productive mornings and do quite a lot. So I liked that side effect from it. Another effect was that when I'd done quite a lot of fasting, extended periods of fasting, I kind of looked good. Like, I looked fresh. My skin was, I was brown, I was glowing. My face looked like thin. You know how people just kind of look good? There could be thin people out there that just look like shit. But there's other people who they just have like a healthy glow or vibe to them. And I noticed that when I fasted, that started happening. So, yeah. Another thing was that this is possibly a downside, was I did actually have a bit of a bigger appetite because I was going for such a long extended period of not eating. When it came to eating, I felt like I could eat more. Like my appetite was growing and it took more food for me to feel full. So that was a bit weird. I don't know if everyone experiences this, but I think I definitely did. And another thing was that you have to be careful with what you break your fast with, because when you go through this period of not eating, you're in this elevated state with adrenaline running through you, you're productive, you're wired, and you're like, it's good. But if you were to break that fast with a very high carb heavy meal, rich, whatever it might be, it could have the downside opposite effect of making you absolutely knocked out in a food coma. And you'll find that, you could be at work, you go out for food, have a heavy meal, come back and you're like, what the hell? Like, you could be an absolute zombie. So that might be another side effect which some people experience. I don't know. So you have to be, like, what I started doing was I was breaking the fast with proteins and fats just to ensure that I wasn't sending myself into an absolute carb coma afterwards. Now, when I do intermittent fasting now, it really does depend on a number of things, but I do it from time to time. The times when I will do it is usually, one of them would be after, say for example, if I had a huge feed the evening before and I was just so full, or I'd eaten really late, I'd wake up in the morning and I wouldn't even feel that hungry. And I'd just probably go throughout the entire morning and fast. Another scenario would be if I was traveling, if I was, going on a plane or I was moving from place to place and there wasn't really any good suitable food available, I would just fast. okay? I don't feel like I need to eat, and there's no point in me eating if I'm just gonna be eating shit. Another scenario would be if I know I'm gonna be consuming a big ass meal later on in the day. So if I know I'm gonna be eating big, I'll probably be having a couple thousand calories, I'm probably gonna try and reduce the amount of damage that meal is gonna do. So I'll just fast throughout the morning and then consume that meal later on in the day. So overall, my daily calorie intake isn't really gonna be affected. It's still gonna be a lot, but you know, it's not gonna be as big as it could have been had I had eaten 2 meals in the morning. So there you go, there's my views and beliefs and even some of my experiences with intermittent fasting. I do think it's a very interesting topic, and I'm sure there's gonna be more studies which are gonna be done, which are gonna either, you know, highlight the benefits about it or potentially highlight the negatives associated with it. But I really do think there's more benefits associated with it than the negatives. It really just does come down to the individual, you know, what your goals are, what your lifestyle is like, and you know, what you can kind of stick to in the long run. If you want to find out more about it, I suggest you check out a few links which I've provided in the description. Might be worth, you know, reading around the topic more if you want to find out more about it, and then come to your own conclusions as to which approach you want to take. But like I said, very interesting, and it can have a big effect on your body composition and health. So thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to check out all my social media links, and I shall see you soon.